Hello Nerf community, this is a video review of my Nerf Parasite Mark II. We've gone from the Mark I to the Mark II, and it's looking better and better. The whole idea of the project came from, in the past I used to use something like a minimized night finder or a fire strike mounted on top of one of my Nerf guns because I liked to have a single fire sniper attachment. So that's why I designed the Mark II to be a top-mounted cannon. I wanted something that could be stronger than my primary Nerf gun because I Nerf with mostly littler kids. I wanted something stronger though with adjustable FPS so that I could have a good single firing option to be able to fire back to them. And I also wanted to be able to make it adjustable in the future, and so I've been working to make that possible. It's mountable to a Nerf Picatinny rail with the base that I currently have, but with the product I will also be selling giving a Nerf to Picatinny adapter. I use it on my Nerf Mediator that I have, and it gives a pretty good secure fit so that you can use it with normal Nerf guns. The one note to do with that adapter is that this is a straight up adapter. It doesn't have like any kind of fancy securing system. So Nerf rails have this little groove or like this little stopper right here, and this adapter cannot go beyond that point. Can only get to that point, and then you can put your rail on top of there. But it would not be able to get over to this point. That's a good note to make. So to do an exterior overview of the Parasite Mark II, the first thing is the front. The front is a piece that looks like this on each of the Parasites. It is secured by two 1-inch 632 machine screws coming through two secure attachment points to give it a good secure attachment. I've fired my primary one hundreds of times and it has not failed as of yet. This front is going to be able to be switched out with lots of different things. I'm currently working on something like a Nerf hopper, which is kind of like in the past they used to have like a PVC hopper tube that you can fit small darts. You can fit half darts down the tube and that you have loaded up here, and as you fire it just keeps on bringing the next one down. I've been designing mine from like completely from scratch, so it's been taking a while, and I think I still have some adjustments to make, but we're getting closer and closer to releasing that as well. In the future there will be many different fronts. The hopper is the one I'm most excited about because that's the one I want to use. I'm also going to make a full mega barrel. I'm going to make a option for shell loading. I have been working on also being able to fit a magazine into a front here and being able to load that. I also am working on adapters to make it so that mag front can be used with half darts and Talon and Talon and Katana mags, both angled and straight. I'm working on that currently as well. So it'll be very adaptable in the future. I'm looking forward to getting to that point. It's a long road to get there. That's one thing that I have learned, is that there's so much prototyping that goes into all of these things. The next thing that to be of note is that it has a full Picatinny rail on top. This to make it so you could say, so that you could mount another Parasite on top of the one you have already, and you can have multiples stacked right on top of each other if you want. You could also mount a sight on top if you wanted. Something that's a feature that I have added is this X support system in the middle. Not only does it increase the aesthetics, but also has increased the overall durability of the Parasite Mark II. I used to have a problem where this point right here would snap due to pullback tension because like when I had this completely open, all the tension would mount on this point, and so it'd snap in front of the connection for the Picatinny rail. So I added the X supports there, and that's pretty much solved that problem. The next really cool feature about the Parasite Mark II is that it has the ability in the future for different bases. This is the current Picatinny rail base. It has a secure mounting system where you have slots on your bases and slots on your Parasite Mark II, and you can kind of just snap it in. And not only that, as you can see, it's mounted with 2 screws. And those screws also on this side, you won't be able to see here, but I have slots to fit in some nuts in the Parasite Mark II. And then you can slide your cylinder in there, and those won't come out at all, and you can just secure it tightly. This is going to be pretty key in the future because I'm going to, everything I want to do is make this adaptable. So one thing I have done is I've made a prototype handle where I can secure this well to the Parasite Mark II so I can have it in pistol form. And there will be many other things coming out with that. The rail actually secures the same way. You can tell it has 3 screws mounting it on top, and it has slots in the body for that purpose. The next feature to talk about is the push button. Now, don't pay attention to this one so much. This is a flawed print. It's warped pretty bad right here. But all the Parasites have a push button trigger. One thing I realized early on with the Parasite Mark I, this is my original idea, I just had a screw screwed into the latch with a spring that made it so as the trigger. I found this very clunky and hard to push and made your finger hurt pretty bad after a bit. So I changed it to a push button, which is right here. And something I realized with my Mark I is that I had only made it for right-handed people, and I want it to be good for everybody. So with the Mark II, I made it so you can easily pull out these 2 screws and flip it and have it so that you could have the whole blaster be left-handed instead of just right-handed. And something to go with that, I had to make the head removable of the pull rod. So that's secured again with a machine screw and a nut there on top. And to make it so that you can just pop this piece off, stick it back on, and switch which hands you can use the trigger with. I also was worried about durability on my blasters, so I created, this is my latch piece right here, by the way. Something I did is I made a slot for a metal pin. So when you actually pull this back, this one doesn't latch well, as a warning. When you pull this back, there's a slot in this pull rod. And this latch is set in like this, and it pops forward. And so you are catching this, actually it'd be this way, pops forward this way, and you're catching the pull rod with a full metal latch. That has made it so it's a much better longevity. I haven't experienced any issues with the latches wearing out or the pull rods wearing out. So I think it's a very good system and has proven itself well. The other thing to mention is that these things have a pretty solid seal. That's been consistent from the Mark I. Also doesn't latch super well. Mark I has a decent seal. It doesn't disappear too quickly. And it has also been consistent with the Mark II. That's what's allowing me to hit higher FPS numbers. I am using exactly half of a K26 spring to power this, so I can use hopefully 2 K26 springs, or like use 1 K26 spring as 2 different pieces of a product to make it so I can be more efficient on materials. It's been going well, and it's been hitting good numbers. Next part of the video will be the firing demonstration, so you can see some FPS numbers. This will be a test video for my FPS ratings on my Parasite Mark II. First things first will be Nerf Elite darts. That was with the 4-inch barrel. Next will be 4-inch barrel with Adventure Force darts. Next will be N-Strike Elite darts with a 6-inch barrel. Next will be Adventure Force darts with a 6-inch barrel. That was a firing demonstration of the 4-inch and 6-inch barrels of PVC using my initial front, which is a O-ring front, where you slip the PVC on over the O-ring. A couple of things to note. I realize I haven't showed how to load it yet. This PVC has to be reamed out a little bit with a 1/2-inch drill bit. So the 4-inch one is reamed out the whole way, which makes it so that you can just easily, for the most part, slip darts in there. If you want to get those FPS numbers for the half darts, you need to push them down all the way to the bottom. The way I was loading in the video is I was pulling the barrel out, loading them in the back, and sticking them in the front here. Something that I did realize in the video is that after about 100 times or so, my O-ring started to wear out doing that way. So I'm working on improvement. If you guys purchase this as currently, I would say that you would want to make sure you load from the front and use some kind of ramrod in there. And it would only come with a 4-inch and 6-inch. I used to offer a 9-inch, and when I was doing the FPS tests, it just didn't offer any real benefits. Every once in a while I'd get a better number. I think on a looser dart or something, I'd get a higher number. That'd get numbers up to 170 FPS. But it was so wide variety. I'd get ones that are 100. I'd get some that are like 120. And then I'd get some at 160. And because of that, I decided not to offer the 9-inch anymore. So I just offer the 4-inch, the 6 inches. A couple things to note is that I'm also working on different fronts. This is a drop barrel system that I'm using currently with no O-ring. I'm working on getting test numbers for that. And then a brass barrel with an O-ring as well. My chronograph has currently busted, so I cannot give test numbers on those currently. When I do, I will make sure I add them, add a video with those numbers being put up to test. The benefit of these two barrels is this one, now you can pull out the barrel. Because there's no O-ring, there's nothing to mess up there. You can load in your darts in the back and then stick them on right back in. I want it so that I can have like preloaded barrels, just pop one out, stick one in, and then fire it off again. This one, something that's really fascinating about this, I'm not sure if I can get to do it right now, but if you get a good, yep, this is a good dart for it. If you get a good dart, you can pull it and it'll vacuum load the brass. So it'll bring, because the brass is slipperier, that it will come all the way back to the very back of the barrel. Does not consistently do that, but it's really nice on some darts when it does, because it makes loading the process a lot nicer. And then you can just fire that. One thing I didn't show is that I have fixed the catch mechanisms. I mentioned on the other two that doesn't catch well. Pretty much now you can get them to catch very consistently. The problem is that this wasn't sized correctly. So now that I've corrected that problem, they now fire without, or catch without hardly any flaws. The final note that I forgot to make in the first part of the video is that, yes, you can pull off this, you can unscrew this, and you can pull off and switch this piece. You will also have to turn this pull rod upside down from the inside. So you will have to take up the front, slide this piece forward, turn around inside the pull rod to get so that the latch, which is on this side, the little latching groove. Do I have an example? Yeah, I do. Okay. So this is the little latch groove. You have to make sure that that will flip sides too. So you do have to remove the front in order to do that, or make it so you loosen it up, pull it forward, flip the whole system, put it back in. So still not too difficult, but I do realize I was misleading about that there. I have an Etsy page, as I've said before. I will make a link to that page in this description so that you guys can go and check everything out there. If you have any questions or concerns, just let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. In the meantime, happy nerfing.